What is up, guys? Randomonium here with your Week 6 Fantasy LCS roster management. I will be talking about some of the stuff that happened in Week 5, so this is your spoiler warning. And we saw a lot of teams really turn it up into Week 5. Some really interesting matches. So I'm going to go through all of my fantasy leagues and who I'm going to start for my fantasy leagues in Week 6. I have 6 fantasy leagues. So we'll go through them very quickly. All right, so for my first fantasy league, my options are Steve or Odoamne. Actually, H2K and Schalke are playing against each other this week, and then Schalke also plays Splice, and H2K plays Giants. That's a very interesting decision because I think the Splice versus Schalke matchup is going to be very close and very long, and I also think that the Schalke versus H2K matchup will be very long. The H2K versus Giants matchup is going to be really interesting because Giants has been looking really strong and H2K has not. H2K has been just kind of limping along. They've been getting a lot of ties, but they haven't really been doing much. And if we look at like the points over the past couple weeks, Odo has been kind of consistent in that 40 to 50 point range. It looks like Steve has been a little bit less consistent, but higher point potential. So Steve is riskier, but has higher point potential. So I think that I'm going to probably start Steve in this instance. I think he's going to do well this week. He might not be like S tier, but he'll do well at least. For jungle, I have Meteos and I have Svenskeren. Meteos is definitely higher point potential than Svenskeren, but Svenskeren's really consistent. This week, Cloud9 is playing TSM, so that's interesting. We'll have a head-to-head there, and then Cloud9's going with NRG, and TSM's going against Apex. Apex has been struggling. I think that TSM is going to have a stronger week, and Cloud9 had a really horrible week 5, so I'm going to start Svenskeren there. For my mid lane, AD carry and support, I all have Immortals players. They're going up against Liquid and Envy. I think the Liquid game is actually going to be really, really good, and the Envy game should also be pretty decent. So I think that Immortals is going to get some pretty good points this week, so I'm going to probably start all of these guys. And then for my flex, my options, I have lots of options. Kabi is definitely an option, but Fox has been doing just as well, if not better. And then if we look at the other points, like Fox is just pretty consistent, always getting between 60 and 80 points. So I think I'm going to keep Fox as my flex for this week. And then H2K as my team is fine. They've been doing poorly. I'm wondering if there's a better team available for points. So if I go to the stats, look at points. Cloud9's available, Origin's available, Envy's available, Schalke's available. I think I'm going to go with Cloud9, even though I think they're going to have a little bit of a rougher week. I think that it'll be a good pickup in the long run. All right, so that should be good for this week. Okay, so let's go on to the next fantasy league. So my options are Steve or Expect in top lane. If we look at historically, Expect's been all over the map as far as his point values, but I do feel like G2 is a very strong team. This week they're going against Giants and Roccat, which I think they should be able to win both those games. So I'm going to start Expect. I have Trick and Meteos. I do feel like Trick is the stronger jungler this week. Mid lane, I have Fox and Huhi. Fox is definitely the stronger mid laner this week. You can just see like every week he's outpointed who he. And then for AD carry, I have Freeze, and I also picked up Fabi because it seems like he's going to be the starter from now on TSM. And if we look at the points, Fabi's beaten Freeze every single week that he has played. And this week, I do feel like Liquid can beat Echo Fox, and they should have a somewhat close game with Immortals. I think Immortals will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Liquid took it to 3 games. So I think I am going to start Fabi in as my AD carry, and I will be checking the Challenger Series. So if you're not sure who's going to start for a particular team, like for example Piglet versus Fabi for Team Liquid, you can watch the Challenger Series. You can watch Team Liquid Academy, and whichever AD carry is playing for Team Liquid Academy, you know the other one has to be starting for uh, LCS because you can't play in both Challenger Series and LCS in the same week. So that's how I figure out who's going to start for different teams if there's a question on who the starter is going to be for the LCS team. Then for the flex pick, I can look at historical, how people have performed, and I can also look at week by week how they performed, and all great options. Actually, Steve, Freeze, and Meteos are all decent options. I definitely don't think I'm going to start Huhi. And if we look at who they're going up against, I'm leaning towards Freeze. I think that he might be the best pick. I would probably go Freeze, then Steve, then Meteos. But yeah, Freeze has actually been pretty consistent, getting between. Well, he had 45 points in week 1, but it means he's been around like 70 points. It looks like on average. That's fine. So I'll start him as my flex. All right, and then my team is G2. If we go to the stats, I don't think there's anybody that much better. I could pick up Sunstar. He's been doing well. But no, I think I'm good in this league. All right, so moving on to the third fantasy league. For top lane, I've got Seraph and I've got Odo. Seraph has Immortals and they've got CLG. Last time they played Immortals, they actually did really well. And they beat CLG. And if we look at the historical week by week, Seraph has done really well except for week 4, which was the week I think they went up against TSM and Cloud9. And if we look at just the point values, it looks like Seraph has actually beaten Odo in just about every single week. So I'm tempted to go with Seraph over Odo Omne. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. And then for jungle, Trick or Yankos. Yeah, Trick is definitely much better. Mid lane, I have Senkugs or Phoenix. Phoenix has been doing a lot better. It looks like the past 2 weeks he has outpointed Senkugs. I do feel like Team Liquid is on the rise. So I think I'm going to start Phoenix as my mid laner. AD carry, I have Sven. My other option is Lod. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep Sven in there. I can just check out the side by side. Lod has been doing very well, but Sven is just, he's near unstoppable. So yeah. And then for the flex, who has a good week? I've got 2 H2K players. I've got a Splice player, and I've got an Envy player. Well, if I'm already starting Seraph, I probably don't want to also start Laud. So that's a question: is do I want to start Laud or do I want to start Seraph? And if I want to start Laud, then I'd put Odo in at top lane. And then we look at the week by week. Hmm. Interesting. So, seems like Laud has had the best performance week to week. So I actually think I'm going to start Laud at flex, and then to diversify my team, I'm going to start Odo over Seraph. Because I felt like that was a really close call on whether I was going to start Seraph or Odo. And I want to keep my team kind of diverse, so I don't want to start both Seraph and Laud, because Envy could struggle this week. So I think that's probably the best I can do for this week. Alright, so my fourth fantasy league, my options are Odo or Ray. Ray's going against TSM and NRG this week. Yeah, and they did really horrible against TSM. They did well against NRG. Lowest points he's ever gotten was 45. Highest he got was 99 in week 1. I think I'm going to start Odo. I think he's a safer pick. My options for jungle are Yankos or Trashy. So if we look at the points, pretty even as far as points are concerned. So it's really going to come down to their matchups this week. Trashy actually did really well when he went up against Rockcat and Schalke. And if I start Trashy, then that will give me some diversity, but I also might want to start Kabi. I'll keep Yankos in for now, but I might swap out. Bjergsen's my only mid laner, so yeah, I'll keep him in. My options for AD carry are Wild Turtle or Kabi. Yeah, Kabi's actually been doing really well. He had kind of a poor week 5, but besides that, he's been doing well. I'm going to start Bjergsen, though. For support, I have Spraddle or Vander. Spraddle's always been outpointing him. Then for flex, yeah, it definitely looks like Kabi is the best choice there. Okay, so that's my team. Fnatic had a horrible week last week, but they should improve this week. All right, 5th Fantasy League. My options are Steve or Odo. For top lane, feel a bit stronger keeping Steve in as I did in the previous one. I have Trashier Gilius for my jungle. That's actually a tough one. So Gilius has done better in 2 out of the past 3 weeks. This week, they're going up against Shaka Rockhat or Splice H2K. I think the Gilius actually might be stronger, but do I want to have 2 Shaka players? They should get about the same points. So I'll keep Trashy in for right now. Perks as my mid laner or Phoenix. I think I'm going to put Perks in, but I will double check. Believe it or not, actually, Phoenix has done better than Perks in the past 3 weeks. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to go with Phoenix there. For AD carry, I have Wild Turtle and Sunstar. Sunstar has just been all over the map, but he has been getting just some ridiculously high point values. Who are they going up against this week? Liquid and Envy or G2 and 8? Oh, God, that's a rough week for Giants. That's a really rough week for Giants. I think I'm going to keep Wild Turtle in. Because I think that Giants may struggle this week. And the question is, of course, do I do Perk or Sunstar? I could definitely see Giants doing well against H2K. Against G2, I mean, it's possible that they take a game off of them, but I don't know if they're going to get that many points. I feel like that's just a lot of high risk going Sunstar. I feel like Perks is just a much safer pick, even though he might not get as many fantasy points. I think I'm going to keep him as flex. And then for my last fantasy league, my options for top lane are Seraph or Wonder. Wonder has just been an absolute rock. He's always been getting 50 to 60 points. Seraph has been kind of all over the board a little bit. And then this week, historically, I think Wonder's actually probably going to do better than Seraph this week. Slightly better and a little bit lower risk. Jungle, Yankos, or Gilius. Gilius seems like he is probably better, probably safer. Starting any other... Well, I do have Spraddle. Well, he actually did really bad against Splice and H2K last time. I think Yankos might be the safer pick. Yeah, I'll keep Yankos in just because I think he's a safer pick. Mid lane, my options are Pobelter or Senkux. Pobelter's been doing actually really well the past 3 weeks, so I'll keep him in. 80 carry, my options are Sven or Freeze. Freeze has been underperforming. Sven has been doing well, so I'll keep Sven in. For support, I have Spraddle, which is fine. And then for my flex pick, Senkux, Freeze, Seraph, or Gilius. Let's look at their points versus their LCS opponents in the past. Senkux did well. Freeze not so much. Seraph did well. Gilius not so much. And if you look at the historical, Seraph's been all over the map. Sometimes he got 90 points, sometimes he got 18 points. Gilius has been pretty consistent. Freeze has been pretty consistent. Senkux has also been consistent, but he's been getting slightly higher point values, so I'm going to go with Senkux as my flex pick. Then I have H2K as my team. I'm pretty sure that they've done really poorly as far as team points are concerned. Yeah, they're way down here. So if we look at previous weeks, we have Giants, Liquid, Splice, Envy, Unicorns of Love, Shaka. Just nobody's been very consistent. Liquid, Envy. Yeah, I'll have to analyze that a little bit more. I'll keep H2K for now as a team, but I probably can get a better team than them for this week. But yeah, those are my 6 fantasy leagues this week. I'll be putting out the more in-depth video tomorrow on all of my fantasy picks and all the players and how I feel like the leagues are going. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the content on the channel, please subscribe. Feel free to leave your questions. I'll be happy to answer them. I hope you guys have a great day. This is Randomonium signing off.